Good morning, Dara.
Good morning.
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you so much. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
You're looking younger. Couldn't look any younger.
Do you think? I shaved especially for this.
Why?
Well, you got to put an effort in.
When did you shave before that last? A year ago?
Yeah. I shave twice a week.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, good. Right, so this is called 53 Minutes. I didn't know what it was about until I started to listen to it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So 53 Minutes is going to be a 53-minute episode per week podcast about you two being hilarious forever. But it's not, is it?
No, it's not that. It's not one of those,
53 Minutes is sort of, it's pivotal to the whole narrative of what has to be a one-off series.
Yes, it is. It's one story
Yeah.
about, and sort of quite a legendary story to a certain extent, but that could only have happened in this exact moment in the Premier League's history when it was all still a bit ropey and dodgy and real thrown together.
Unlike now.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all super slick now. But a guy whose name I now know correctly about Ali Jah, but everyone football sports know as Ali Dia or Ali Dyer.
Right.
Blagged his way onto the Southampton team, was put on as a sub for one match and was yoinked again 53 minutes later and never played again. And it's how he blagged his way on and who the guy was and where he came from and where he went to after that.
So when the sub's subbed, usually, there's a rat to be smelt, but this was a whole horde of rats.
It's a heist movie. Do you know what I mean? It's a man who's pulled off the ultimate hoax. He's managed to... he phoned up, and the mystery is, did he phone up? Who phoned up? But Graham Souness, the manager of Southampton, gets a phone call.
When was this?
1996.
Right.
The height of TFI Friday.
Yeah, and the Euros.
You know this,
And the Euros.
We've had a chat about it, let me tell you.
And Graham Souness gets a call from George Weah, the World Footballer of the Year, who says, I've got a cousin who's good at football. Would you give him a trial? And Graham Souness is like, well, it's George Weah, it's the World Footballer of the Year. Of course I will. This guy shows up. He trains for a bit, but there's an injury crisis at Southampton, so he gets put on the bench, and then their best player, Matt Letizia, gets injured during the match. So he ends up on the pitch in a Premier League game for 53 minutes.
Right.
And everyone's kind of, in football, has heard this kind of story, but this is the first time it's kind of really, what happened? What's the truth behind this? Who is this man? Where did he come from? Where did he go? In kind of, sorry, I didn't mean that in a, and what happened to him and how did it happen?
Because we're not totally sure. And I think the debate raises within the podcast, if this is a heist movie, as you say, if he pulled off a really good number, or he was someone who just got over-promoted really quickly to a position he wasn't ready for. And in either way, he's living the dream.
He's the Liz Truss of football.
Yeah, like he did. And we all kind of go, if you just give me a run out once, if you just, if you put me in the centre forward position for Man City, I'd score. I'd probably have found out eventually. How hard can it possibly be? It turns out quite hard.
Well, when you're surrounded by 10 amazing players, you think, well, I could probably get away with it.
I don't understand.
The answer is, you can get away with it for 53 minutes. Is that about it?
Yeah. And then yoink. And then you're off the same game.
Because you can get called out in the end by people around who do what you're pretending to do for a living, or in an office pool or somewhere like that. But he was training with the team and they still didn't surely you'd spot it in training. What have you found out about that?
There was a period of time he wasn't with them for very long beforehand, and it was a perfect storm of stuff wasn't slick, there wasn't sufficient due diligence, there was an emergence of African nations and African footballers after the World Cup that had just happened, that suddenly was like, well, this is an entire untapped continent of incredible talent that we don't know anything about.
We've struck oil.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so they thought, well, this could be an undiscovered, this could be a gem that we've just found. And they had an injury crisis.
Right.
And suddenly they'd no other choice but to put somebody on.
But best not to find out about it by putting him on in a Premier League
actual match,
fixture.
in an actual game.
No, exactly. Yeah. And then also it's kind of, he could have scored. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine if he had scored.
Imagine if he had scored.
Imagine if he'd have just had a couple of touches and really got away with it.
Well, I suppose that there's everyone in any industry has worked with someone where they go, this person hasn't got it.
Oh yeah,
this person's.
I know, fair.
Yeah.
We could
Can I just
do a
check the
list
CV of Fred on camera 4?
But there's also that thing of, would I be able to get away with this? Do you know what I mean? What would happen if it happened now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would social media, has that destroyed it, or has just the
because
kind
it was it almost didn't get mentioned again. And it was a
No
local
one noticed at the
journalist.
time.
Yeah, it was a local journalist who went, that was a bit strange last week, wasn't it?
That is so
no
interesting.
national papers picked up on it. No one was kind of clocked.
So the episode 1 starts with Matt Letizia, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, was he at the game? Did he?
He was the injured player.
Yeah, he had to come off
All right,
to
I
make
didn't know
way.
because he had an issue with his thigh, didn't he, or a hip or something?
Yeah.
And he got a knock in the game. Had to come off.
So he was the one that was subbed.
Yeah.
So their best player,
What?
their only good player, gets injured, and they bring on a fake footballer, basically.
It's one of the best stories ever.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Phenomenal stuff.
Is it? Does anybody lose here as a win-win? I mean,
I
what happened?
I think it's win-win.
It's all win-win.
Yeah. And the other thing is that Souness has never spoken about it.
Of course he has.
Yeah, and in an industry where people they have an entire career, entire extracurricular after dinner career.
Yeah.
He's done an autobiography. He's done that. Has never spoken about it until we dig into this.
All right, go on.
Was he this George guy's cousin?
No.
No.
It appears not. We don't. The phone call thing. No one
knows who made the phone call.
Who made the phone call.
Presumably, it was him.
Yeah.
He phoned up, went, "I'm George such and such, and my cousin is a really good footballer."
You know, I mean, it's not like there was. You imagine the media landscape at the time. It wasn't like people going, "That's not George Weah's voice." No one knew what George Weah sounded like. Any kind of African accent. We don't even the same country even as George. I don't think he was even Liberian.
No.
So it's he just picked.
He's got front.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
There's a brass neck element.
Yeah.
to
I
it.
think you've got to admire this.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
You'd have to be one of the most kind of pompous people in the world to think, oh, that's a shame. Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit like Eddie the Eagle, a bit. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit like, is it Guy Goma, the guy who went in for the interview in the BBC for a job and then ended up on air?
No, that wasn't his fault. Like,
No, that wasn't his fault.
he was there to pick somebody up.
He was,
and he
yeah.
just got put on the set.
Put on air.
It's a bit like
that.
Chancey
Asked about
Gardner,
cyber
isn't it?
technology.
Yes, it is. It is
It's a
absolutely.
bit like
What's Chelsea Gardner?
Chancey Gardner.
Chancey Gardner. Oh, being there. We'll watch it in the DVD in the car to the next one.
Okay.
Legendary Peter Sellers film.
Yeah.
It's very
wonderful.
sort of. It's a bit Trump-esque.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's- I think
It's a bit Forrest Gumpy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think obviously I'd say there's less negatives than the Trump story, but
Yeah.
it's more heartwarming. But there is a feeling of, that thing of getting away with it. It's that thing that people always say. If you put on a high vis, you can kind of walk into anywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's
so
that
true.
thing of like the people that
Clipboard.
steal. Yeah, the people who steal the painting, they don't go in at night, do they? They just go in the day, dressed like they work
Plain
at,
sight.
in plain sight, and it's that.
It's like if you're if there's an international golf tournament, if there's like one of the majors or something like that going on. If you just if you pick up a pair of headphones from an old secondhand shop, pair of headphones, right, and an old walkie-talkie, and just wear that, especially with the blue high vis. Which isn't a high vis, it's a viz, isn't it? Because it's blue. You can get under the ropes at any golf tournament because people just think you work for the BBC.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Right. I'll try that.
Headphones, very handy.
Right.
Go.
All right, so were there any... I mean, it's just... Because it's such a big... It's a one big fat surprise anyway.
Yeah.
And you've chunked it up into 6 eps. By the way, we're talking about this podcast, 53 minutes. It's an amazing story. Were there any surprises within the overall headline fantasy of this fantastic story?
He has more. He has more of a history in and out of lower level football than you think.
Yeah, you can chart. We found his journey.
So he's better than any of us at football.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I've not seen Vassos play, but yeah, definitely us.
Well, you speak to that. Is it a Finnish baggage handler?
Right.
Who he's like Finnair have organised this sort of slightly amateur team for their employees, and he pitches up there. And he's not quite good enough for that kind of amateur team in Finland. Yeah. So he's not that good at football, is he?
No.
Ali Shah.
He's athletic. He can run.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose physically, were any of us to show up, he's built like a sportsman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's got that. But I think the thing that turns up is that we have for the first time Graham Souness.
Yeah, I was going to say, well done. I mean, that's the scoop, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because in a way, it's all a sort of preamble and a prelude to the Graham Souness moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Right, who got Graham to say yes?
I would say the producers.
Quite we don't have the heft
Well-
to
well
Graham,
done,
do you?
though,
Like,
eh?
yes.
Because the thing with Graham Souness is if you don't, because I think like obviously if you like football, this is really interesting. But even if you don't, it's like a hoax and a heist and stuff. But Graham Souness, if you're kind of not aware of him, is the scariest man in the history of football. He was a enforcer on the pitch.
Yeah.
I think his first game as manager of Rangers, he was player manager. He got sent off as player when he was the manager. He's been an intimidating manager, pundit, player. So to hoax Graham Souness and then
Of all the people to hoax. Of
all the people to
Yeah,
hoax.
Ant and Deck haven't been there yet.
No,
No, exactly.
Graham Souness.
He's mellowed. He's mellowed somewhat.
He has. He's more charming now about things, but there's still there's a flintiness to him.
Yeah.
Still, there was a
Flintiness.
There's a Liam Brady, legendary Irish football Liam Brady, told me a story recently that he was in Italy, living in Italy, and he moved from one city to another, and Graham was moving to that city. Like at a time when there were very few foreign players played in the Italian leagues, Graham got picked up to play for one of the clubs there, and Liam said, "I will take our flat. That's the flat that we've been living in, young family, kids, and all. So that's our flat. You can take that, like whatever." So he handed over that to the flat to Graham. The next time we saw Graham was on the pitch where their two teams played, and the first thing Graham did was hack him down, like going straight in, 2-foot challenge, cut him down.
Well, maybe there were mice in the flat.
No,
or something.
what happened was when the moving company took Liam's stuff, they took the curtains and the light bulbs out, and Graham arrived and there was no curtains
not
and light
happy.
bulbs, and Graham held that grudge sufficiently long to hack down Liam Brady the next time we saw him. So I mean, I've had that urge when I've moved into a house and there's been no light bulbs in. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
There's no need for that, is there?
there's no need to.
By the way, if anybody's done that, can you just WhatsApp us anonymously and say what is that about? How do you feel? Do you get like light bulb removers regrets?
And when you moved into the new house, did those light bulbs
Yeah, what
actually
is
did
that
it configure
about?
correctly,
I
or
don't
do we left a little spare light bulbs? That you could
Where
left
are you
them?
on curtains? Because if they're nice curtains, you own the curtains, don't you?
Well, you have to like negotiate fixtures and fittings. So if you're buying somewhere or renting somewhere, it doesn't automatically
Rachel
come with
took
all
the
of
light
that.
bulbs.
I
That's
know.
what's coming across.
Well, you know, if you want it, you got to list it.
But it also curtains,
No
scabby curtains,
assumptions.
because you leave scabby curtains, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but still, some blinds or something like that,
No,
or whatever is
I'm
grand.
with you all the way. Hardest footballers. So Mick Hartford,
Yeah.
I heard he was the hardest footballer. So he played for Watford, didn't he? I know Vinnie Jones told me this story himself, and I said to Vinnie back in the day, I said, hardest footballer you've ever played against is Mick Hartford. Like before I'd even finished the question, everybody all agreed it's Mick Hartford. I said, "Give me an example." He said, "Well, I gave him a bit of physical on the pitch, Wimbledon against Watford, in the first half, and Mick Hartford said, 'I'll see you at half time.'" So Vinny is now hugely regretting what he's just done on the pitch to Mick Hartford. He's trying to make his mark as a young physical player, but you just don't cross Mick, or you didn't cross Mick Hartford. So I said, "Well, what are you expecting?" He said, "Well, I thought he was going to come into the Wimbledon dressing room and just offer me out." And I said, "Well, is that what happened?" He said, No, he offered the whole team out." He said, "Right, it's his fault, all of you now." And apparently he meant it.
Oh my word!
I know. Oh my word, and some.
I'm not made for football.
So-
I wouldn't want to hoax my way on.
You love football, though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like the physical side of it.
Well, it's not so much like that anymore, is it? It's very.
I think it's still it. When you go to a game, you're near.
Shoulder bargy. I've been I find it very interesting. So all three of our boys play football, and so now they're like 11, 13, 14, so they're getting bigger. And I'm always a bit like, is that not a foul? I mean,
That's your dream, is the mums by the side of the pitch.
Well, I just
shouting,
find I'm like, it's
"How
supposed to
dare
be
you shoulder barge
non-contact.
my
It's
child."
very
I
contact.
say ref.
Well, I just find it very. I get where you're coming from, John.
I was watching the
very bargy.
I was watching the Man United Liverpool game on Sunday. Let's not talk about the score. But and I was thinking about it. So the referee dressed in black, right, as always, and I understand why. But I was thinking it's a bit funereal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean for the ref?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if he was in he or she were in jauntier colours, but I understand why, because I think because it's about them fading into the background, isn't it? Because there's that they had that issue.
Well, they should wear
didn't they?
green then.
Well, because
They have worn different colours.
Yeah,
at
but
different-
goalies used to wear green, didn't they, all the time? I don't know why goalies used to wear green all the time because it was
I
all
mean, do you
green.
have the same position with, say, riot police? You go, this is very down what you're wearing.
No,
Why
but
you lift the mood with
I
a bit
think
like...
riot police, that is sort of my point because
Right.
riot police are called riot police.
Yeah.
The referee, you just, give him a break.
Well, I bet
you
he
know.
feels like he's riot police sometimes on
Yeah,
the
no,
football
exactly.
pitch.
But he's the ref, and I think refs are great. Mostly they're pretty good now, aren't they? I would say referees.
I
It's-
feel a
it's-
bit sorry for them because you
feel-
only
I
know
do. I
you
feel
only
sorry
noticed
for
if you
the
make a
ref.
mistake.
Yeah.
You only know it's like
Unless
you
you're
know,
Mark Clattenburg and you now referee
Yeah.
gladiators.
Oh, what a gig that is!
The best
That-
gig.
oh,
Can I point out
man.
that I had a conversation once with a former teammate of mine when we were chatting to these two women who I said, I play for... Yeah, this is Gaelic football, which is a rougher sport, I suppose, in some ways. And we're chatting to these two who
In
have been in
some
a bar and and he says, yeah, you? And he points to me and goes, do you remember that time that somebody was niggling at you and then when the ball went up the other end, you just flattened him, like one punch? And... this did not happen. It wasn't me. He clearly misremembered me. But a look of admiring glances from everyone around me.
Admiring.
I went with it.
Well,
I said, well,
you said Gaelic football-
if you push a man, he's going to tell... I'm the most dorky, gentle player you've ever seen in a
you played
very
Gaelic
physical
football?
sport. Oh, yeah. Well, Gaelic football and hurling.
I would think, because I'm an idiot, I would think that Gaelic football is impossible to play gently.
Yeah, okay, but relatively I was doing, but still I wasn't, punching people.
I love watching. Why don't we
it's
have more Gaelic
brutal.
football on?
You will.
British TV?
It'll be back on during the summer on the BBC showing for the first time.
great.
Yeah, it was on the net. It was
Because
the
Aussie
final
rules
of it.
football is not dissimilar.
Yeah, they're born from the same thing. Essentially, Irish lads
It's
went
like-
over there and
it's like-
created it.
Rugby played by the skinniest, fittest, leanest people in the world,
They
isn't
are,
it?
yeah.
It's crazy.
And then look, once we get you on the Gaelic football, then we bring out the hurling with the sticks.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
insane.
That is a sport. That is a
Totally
sport.
insane.
Okay, all right, okay. So, it's like when what's his name, the mixed martial arts Floyd Mayweather.
Oh,
Conor.
Conor McGregor.
Conor.
Yeah.
So Conor McGregor, so mixed martial artist against amazing flyweight, lightweight
Oh, yeah,
boxer, right?
yeah.
Okay, so the fittest, leanest, meanest lacrosse team,
Right.
up against the fittest, meanest, leanest Gaelic football team. Who wins?
Oh, the Gaelic football team. I mean, we're drawing from a bigger pool of players. We're
Are
drawing from
there
like,
fitter athletes on the planet?
they're look. I presume there are, but these are also amateur athletes.
No,
so they're
I know,
not,
but they run and they run and they run.
it's like
The
up and, it's a big
engines.
pitch, a much bigger pitch than a soccer pitch, and they're up and down all the time.
They're like the human equivalent of gliders, lighter than air aircraft.
Right, okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The Gaelic football
Power to weight.
but it is kind of a thing in Ireland that there's a young generation of lads who are like really professionally fit.
I can sense another series coming on. But I don't know what. Is there a mythical Gaelic football story you could get to the.
there's hundreds of great Gaelic
course there
football.
are.
Oh, there are many great
Okay,
Gaelic football.
it's a better question for an Irishman. Is there not a mythical story about Gaelic football?
Oh, we've made
Is
everything
there a
mythic.
factual story
Really?
about Gaelic football that you could
Oh,
investigate?
yeah, no, what we know for Ireland is making stories mundane and dragging them down like whatever. Oh, you could have a whole thing
Sorry,
of great stories.
we've slipped over to Ireland now.
Yeah.
How has it been the last few days as an Irishman?
It was funny because I said to my wife, it's not a really big deal, Paddy's Day. And she said, you were out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you had a lunch on Sunday. So it was a good Paddy's
And
weekend.
you had Oppenheimer as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, like that's all. Oh, Killian doing it. Oh, that's all I
Well, it was Sunday to Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Killian wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
And the
Kicks
other
off the
bookend
week.
is
The
St.
rugby
Patrick's
was
Day.
very good.
Rugby, Cheltenham
Yeah.
Festival.
Yeah, the whole thing, So, look, we don't need much of an excuse.
Oh,
for
look,
it.
we don't need no.
You've become more Irish in the last minute. It's
I
unbelievable.
have a dial. Internally, I can dial it up or dial it down.
Josh, let's get back on a message, shall we? Podcast 53 minutes, episode 1 out now from wherever you get your podcast. Give us the headlines again for people just tuning in.
It's the greatest story ever told about a footballer. It's the it's the dream we've all got. It's a hoax. It's a trick. It's a man who could be any of us who ended up playing a Premier League match.
I once played football in a team of 11 with 9 current England players.
I watched that. Was it at Torquay United?
Yeah, it was.
I was at that game.
Wes Saunders' testimonial.
Yeah, I've got the programme for that game. That was insane. That was like you, John Barnes, Paul Gascoigne,
Peter Beardsley,
Chris Waddle.
Chris Waddle.
Did you last 53 minutes?
I was the guy. I was the sub that should have been sub, but
That
somehow
was
got to stay
incredible.
on. It was incredible. And they all turned up for Wes Saunders, this legend.
Yeah.
That was some day.
And were they doing? So were they? My impression would be that they are doing things, moving in directions that you're not. You're going.
It's like
Chris
playing with 9
dominated the game.
Jedis.
Yeah,
That's what it's
and
Jedi
they're going,
football.
why didn't you know? Why didn't you know that I was going to run left out? I didn't know you were going to run
I
left
made
out. You're
so
pressing
many
football.
mistakes in that game.
Yeah.
It was not funny. I just did all the wrong things.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to remember it was like 7-5 or something, wasn't it?
It was something.
I don't remember who you were playing against, but your team was
We were
like
playing against
Torquay.
a Pompey All Stars because it was Wes's team because he was Pompey captain, wasn't he?
Torquay.
Sorry, Torquay. Torquay. Where we play?
You were at Torquay.
We were at Torquay. I can't remember. There you go. I wasn't even there. I was watching it with you somewhere.
Look, the greatest thing is suggesting every time is that in the 100 metres final of the Olympics, there should be a lane left over and you should just draw somebody from the crowd. And you should just have them run alongside. I was once at Chris Hoy, because you had Laura in today, who is an utter legend, and I just missed her. What a star, right? But he said, "Oh, you must come down." He bumped into me. You must come down to the velodrome. You're going, you are. Because a normal person on a bike in a velodrome is just really, really slowly.
We did a race
Wobbly.
between. On last leg, we did Johnny Peacock, the gold medal winning Paralympian, against Adam Hills. We did 100 metres.
Yeah.
And Adam's quite sporty. Like, he plays.
Rugby player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a rugby player, and he was a really good tennis player. And you think he's like a good runner, and then the moment you see someone who actually, you just suddenly the person who's not the athlete is flailing.
Yeah.
You can just see. The person who runs, it's like a piston. It's like an absolute machine.
Well, if you take 100 yards of Eliud Kipchoge's fastest marathon and try and run 100 yards, you won't be able to do it. And they had a travelator at the Running Expo at XL.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos.
Where it was constantly moving at Eliud Kipchoge's marathon pace. And Mo Farah tried to get on it and was flung back off it. So that's how fast Eliud Kipchoge runs a marathon. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I like that, Dara. Just a bit of context. Because you see the Olympic final, they're all in about the same second for 100 metres. And we think, well, that's lovely. But if you or I were there and we'd be at 50 metres when they're at the finish, you'd think, oh, that's how good they really are.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's the same in golf. You know, we all think we can play golf, or you can hit a decent shot. But when a professional golfer hits a golf ball, say off the tee, it goes to this point in the air, which your greatest shot would peak there and start to come down. And the point where that happens with your ball is the point that their ball really takes off and changes trajectory. It goes to an acute angle. It goes, and you go, oh. There's that one. You can hit a golf ball like that as well if you want to.
Same with comedy. We're highly trained professionals. And it's not,
but you're
it's
right,
not to be
though.
done lightly. It's
Now,
not. No,
hang on a minute. He's right here, isn't he?
Yeah, no one's good at the start of stand-up. It takes 2 years of being rubbish.
I did mean it as a joke. Anyway, it's just talking.
Just flexing.
Yeah, just
flexing.
But
No,
back
but
off,
flexing.
right? Back off, right?
Oh, dear. All right. Okay. Podcast 53 minutes, episode 1 out now. How did you two get together?
Look, somebody rang and said,
Yeah.
who knows? That wasn't our thought process. I mean, it's a delight, but, he said, who knows? We're never in charge of this stuff. The call came in. Yeah.
And is any other stories?
Well, do you know what would be the joy would be if Ali Shah was to enjoy this podcast so much that he thought, I'll stick my head out and I'll do an interview.
Well, where's the mystery there?
Well, he's been very discreet.
How come?
He just has never, much like.
Why wouldn't you? You got to come and take a bow, haven't you?
He's very much the Kate Middleton of his time. He's just disappeared. That's it. He won't be appearing again. Done. Just said that's it. I'm out of public life now. You can get photographs at the back of his head.
Well, the producers, they must have had a look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there is
So where did they think
spoke to people who have spoken to him as well.
There is a dialogue.
Isn't it?
There's a dialogue that features in a later episode of them trying to get Ali to agree to it.
Right.
That
and not getting somebody sometimes better than getting them.
Well, that's what we're telling you.
Yeah, but like, well,
Well,
yeah,
I
but,
believe
but,
in
I
but
think it's the mystery remains, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got Graham's side of the story. Does Ali want to sell?
Is it even better as an enigmatic that
Oh
he's
my
never
gosh.
appears? Like, yeah.
Well, it's great. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank
It's
you very
like
much.
Banksy.
Another fun thing to
Yeah.
do with your life.
Yeah,
Isn't it great?
exactly.
Do you want to plug anything else while you're here?
Did a couple of documentaries at Channel 5, did the pyramids, going to a solar eclipse in 2 weeks' time in America,
Excellent.
which is properly ticking off a bucket list.
And you
day.
might see one because it's in America.
Yeah, we're hoping because we're going to go to it's crossing over Texas, so we're going to go to Austin.
film
We're
that?
hoping like whatever, absolutely, yeah. And we're going to an event that the producer said, oh, it's a NASA event. Also, at the event will be the singer from Talking Heads, and I went,
What?
David Byrne? You mean David? You just say David
What?
Byrne. You know, the singer from Talking Heads.
Oh,
but the,
whoa.
yeah. Oh, is that more exciting to you than the eclipse?
What? Yeah, of course David Byrne's more impressive than the Eclipse.
Yeah,
I've seen David
he's
Byrne
all right.
and I've
He's
seen
all
an
right.
Eclipse, and there's only one I enjoyed.
You didn't? How you do you know? How did
I went to New York to watch David Byrne. The Eclipse came to Devon, and I looked up, and that was it.
Was this his talking tour?
This was the tour where it was. No, this was him. What was it called? The American Utopia tour.
Right, because apparently he did this
2019.
talking tour, didn't he? Which had songs as well, but it was the greatest thing that you've ever seen live, and I didn't see it.
The American Utopia one, which Spike Lee made into a movie, is absolutely incredible.
Oh, we have photographic evidence. We were there, Torquay United,
Oh, there we
1999.
go. Look at
Signing
that.
the back of a programme.
You haven't changed a bit.
Oh, shut up. All right, we've got to go. We don't have to go, but I'm choosing to go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dara O'Briain, Josh Widdicombe.
Thank you very much.
Round of
A
applause,
pleasure.
Rachel Hall, Vassos Alexander. Tuesday, the 19th of March. You were excellent. Thank you so much.